How does one stop living for others and learn to live for themselves? So, no, it's great. It's a fantastic question, because what it shows is, it shows that what we're doing is not in alignment always with really what we feel is important for us. And when we talk about, by the way, when we emphasize service and giving, it doesn't mean that you become a doormat or a robot or a puppet. When most people want you to live for them, it's not their divine self. When we talk about service, it's a matter of serving that divine in others. Like when we say namaste, the divine in me bows to the divine in you. That's what namaste means. So serving others is serving the divine in them. That does not mean everyone's personal ego agenda. If you spend your life trying to serve everyone's personal ego agenda, first of all, you'll never be able to do it, because everyone's got a different ego agenda. And so you're going to have one person saying do this and another one saying do that. This one says dance like this. This one says jump like that. You will be frustrated, and you won't be able to live for your capital S self, which is exactly who we should live for. We're not supposed to live for our ego self, but we're supposed to live for our capital S self. And if I spend my life bowing to samne wale kya sochenge, what will the neighbors say, what will the neighbors think, samne wale kya kehte hain, then I can never really devote myself to my capital S true self. And so it's a beautiful question. And it requires courage. It requires courage to have someone not necessarily be happy with you. It requires courage to be able to have someone have their ego drama unfulfilled. And to know that you're living for something higher. But I'll tell you a personal story about this. When I first moved to India, I was 25. I had graduated undergrad at Stanford University. I was doing a PhD in psychology. I was on a path. I came here. It's another long story. I won't go into it here, but I had this incredibly transformational experience. And I knew I was meant to be here. And of course, my parents had very different ideas. My dad very, very quickly came in support of me. He recognized something very powerful and understood that I was, even though he didn't understand it, that I was living something very, very powerful. My mom, on the other hand, on the deep level, she loved me and supported me. But her ego drama was very wrapped up in the number of grandchildren I was going to pop out and give her. It's normal, it's natural, there's nothing wrong with it. It's what every parent wants, right? She's not wrong for having that feeling by any means. It just wasn't my dharma. And I remember her telling me once, before I officially took vows of renunciation, she calls me one day and she says, so I had a dream. She said, the dream was that you married a very nice Hare Krishna boy from the Hare Krishna temple in Venice. In Los Angeles, there's a big Hare Krishna community in Venice. She said, so I had this dream that you married a very nice boy from the Hare Krishna community in Venice, and you had a lot of little Hare Krishna children. She said, so I want you to know, it's not the Hindu part that's difficult. She said, but don't you think that you'd really like to come back here and marry some Hare Krishna boy and have some Hare Krishna babies? And it was very sweet, obviously, but it wasn't my dharma. And I share that because as much as I wanted to make her happy, it so clearly was not my dharma to walk down that path. And so, in taking care of my capital S self, I had to put her in the position of facing her own agenda, facing her own attachments, her own expectations, her own desires. And the beautiful thing was that through that, the way that she grew spiritually was just phenomenal. The way that she was transformed through that was literally, just extraordinary. Extraordinary. And her karma became such that now at this late stage of her life, she's here back on the banks of Mother Ganga to live out however much time she has left here not in LA, but on the banks of Ganga. So, you look at how that karmic worked, that which seemed like it was not for her in the moment ended up being actually so much more in her benefit on the really deep karmic level than the temporary fun she would have had with a bunch of grandkids running around. So it's a very powerful and important question you asked. And it's one that we all have to balance, is how do we honor our capital S self while serving and helping as much as we can everyone else. And the simplest way is to serve their capital S self. Then there will never be a conflict. The divine in you has no agenda for the divine in me. Then it's just soul meeting soul, heart meeting heart. But wherever you can, when it's no difficulty to your capital S self, serve even people's ego packages. Why not? Make as many people happy as you can. To the extent that you are honoring the truth of who you are.